Relationships have been on the decline since women came out of the cave, looked around and said, this isn't so hard.
What's our problem with single women over a certain age?
I hate it when you're the only single person at a dinner party and they all look at you like you're a
Loser,
Leper.
whore.
Starting in 1998, Sex and the City took on this question through edgy plot lines about single life that were previously considered taboo for TV. And, most of all, through the character of Samantha Jones.
I'm a trisexual. I'll try anything once.
This erotically adventurous woman in her 40s embodied the revolutionary sexual freedom and independence that Sex and the City stood for when it premiered.
I never leave underwear at a guy's place because I never see it again.
What happens to it?
Nothing. I just never go back.
But while Samantha quickly became a pop culture icon and viewers to this day love to watch her unapologetic bachelorette lifestyle, it seems that many don't actually want to live it in real life. When a 2017 BuzzFeed quiz asked readers which of the 4 Sex and the City leading ladies was their favorite, Samantha won with 35% of the vote. However, when a different 2018 BuzzFeed quiz asked which Sex and the City lady readers saw themselves as, Samantha came in 5th out of 6 places with just 8% of the vote.
I'm a lovely person. At least get to know me, then hate me.
Fans of the series tend to enjoy Samantha, but don't actually want to be a Samantha. And this is largely because our culture has trained us to see her promiscuity and independence as a phase rather than a respectable, permanent way of life a woman might willingly choose.
Is she still bar hopping and bed hopping? It's so sad, isn't it, when that's all you have?
Here's our take on why fans love the idea of Samantha Jones, but don't necessarily want to be her, at least not forever.
You're watching
The Take.
Let us know your take.
Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come together to take classes that fuel their creative journey. The first 1,000 people to use the link in our description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. So become a member today and start exploring your creativity for less than $10 a month. Before Sex and the City, shows about single 30-something women were few and far between, with a few notable exceptions like That Girl, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and Murphy Brown. Sex and the City went further than any of its predecessors by showing and talking about the sex lives of complex single women over the age of 30.
I'm sort of a sexual anthropologist.
The show includes episodes on Miranda considering an abortion, Carrie's affair with a married man, and Charlotte's addiction to the rabbit.
I'd just rather stay home with the rabbit than go out and deal with men.
But it was Samantha's sex scenes and romantic plotlines that were and still are by far the most edgy and explicit throughout the series. According to Saros' Sex and the City by the Numbers article, Samantha uttered 210 profanities over the show's 6-season run and was featured in 40 of the series' 96 total sex scenes. Though Carrie was the show's protagonist, it was through Samantha that the show actually pushed the boundaries of how female sexuality is portrayed on screen. Samantha represents an authentic version of the bachelorette trope that's remarkably rare on screen.
A Manhattan legend. Straight, steadfastly single, and sexually very active. In short, the male Samantha.
Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda are also single at numerous points in the series, but it's only Samantha who is committed to being a bachelorette and staying that way.
I don't want to get married.
Ever?
She's unapologetically promiscuous, sharing details of her sex life that most women, or even men, wouldn't dare discuss out loud.
And then he pretended to tie my hands behind my back. I tell you, it is so refreshing to be with someone who likes to outside the box.
And this is my friend Samantha.
She purposely avoids serious relationships, mocks the idea of monogamy, and genuinely loves being independent.
At my age, my mother was saddled with 3 kids and a drunk husband. You just have 3 drunk friends. By choice.
Typically, single female characters on screen fall into 4 distinct categories. The first type of single female character is cynical about all romantic relationships and needs to be convinced by the right guy.
Your sister doesn't date.
And I don't intend to.
The second type is a stressed out single mom or career woman who believes she simply doesn't have time for a serious relationship.
I've got a big day.
You've always got a big day. Even on the weekends, you have a big day. You can't let this job be your life.
The third type is painted as an older, sexless spinster, uninterested in sex or romance, which is implied to be fitting for her years.
You are not married, Aunt Marge.
Well, that's because I'm rich.
And finally, the fourth type is the single woman who doesn't want to stay that way and desperately hopes to find the one.
Why does she deserve to get married and I don't?
Despite their differences, what all 4 of these single female character tropes have in common is that eventually they realize or admit they do want a committed, long-term relationship. In Sex Education, Maeve Wiley initially says,
"You know, in rom-coms, when the guy finally realizes he's in love with a girl, and he turns up with a boombox outside the house, blasting a favorite song, and everyone in the audience swoons. Yeah, that makes me sick."
But later in that exact same episode, she's totally charmed when her love interest does exactly that by serenading her in front of the whole school.
"Will you please be my girlfriend?"
In Gilmore Girls, Lorelai seems like the totally self-sufficient single mom, but she admits that she worries about never having the picture-perfect life with a house and a husband.
I'm never gonna have it. The whole package. I really want it.
Even Miranda, one of Samantha's single female counterparts on Sex and the City, prides herself on buying her own apartment, only to have a panic attack over the fear of dying alone later in the same episode.
I'm all alone, Carrie. The first people on my call in case of emergency list are my parents, and I don't like them. And they live in Pennsylvania.
Samantha's refusal to be boxed in by any of these tropes, or to share their assumption that eventually singledom ends, makes her the remarkably rare character who's genuinely a bachelorette.
Marriage doesn't guarantee a happy ending, just an ending.
It's also significant that Samantha is the oldest woman of all the Sex and the City ladies, spending most of the series in her 40s and turning 50 in the first movie. While the show appeared to challenge the idea that women had to settle down through following 4 single women over 30, notably, Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda do still end up in happy, settled relationships by around the time they hit that next milestone, their 40th birthdays.
I think I may be falling in love with you.
I've been falling for you since the moment we met.
So their single status at most helped elongate the phase in which our culture deemed it acceptable for women to remain single. Samantha, on the other hand, completely rejects the foundational idea that a single woman is only acceptable up to a certain age at all.
You gotta grab 35 by the balls and say, "Hey world, I'm 35.
Okay, calm down, Annie Mae.
So if Sex and the City revolutionized TV, it was Samantha Jones who revolutionized Sex and the City.
If you're a successful saleswoman in this city, you have 2 choices. You can bang your head against the wall and try and find a relationship, or you can say screw it and just go out and have sex like a man.
It's no secret that fans of Sex and the City like to identify with one of the 4 leading ladies, often labeling themselves as a Carrie, Charlotte, Samantha, or Miranda. Each woman fits loosely into a different stereotype: the heroine, the career woman, the prude, and the slut.
I think I'm definitely a Carrie at heart, but like sometimes Samantha kind of comes out. And then, when I'm at school, I definitely try and put on my Miranda hat.
And as the show has aged and gained new viewers of younger generations, attitudes towards each of these character types have shifted and evolved. Being labeled as a career-oriented Miranda while the show originally aired was widely considered undesirable.
Sexy is the thing I try to get them to see me as after I win them over with my personality.
You win men over with your personality?
But in recent years, Miranda has become the sleeper hit of Sex and the City, inspiring multiple op-eds about her inspirational character, a popular Instagram page dedicated to her best moments, and even a 2019 book entitled We Should All Be Mirandas: Life Lessons from Sex and the City's Most Underrated Character.
I want to enjoy my success, not apologize for it.
Bravo, honey.
Unlike Miranda, Samantha's character started as a fan favorite and has slowly lost popularity. When the show aired, many viewers applauded Samantha's radically confident and overt sexuality. But in recent years, voices have focused more on shortcomings like her vanity and egocentrism, with Samantha being described by some as insensitive, guilty of some pretty toxic behavior, and even a cautionary tale.
If I worried what every bitch in New York was saying about me, I'd never leave the house.
Rather than interpreting Samantha's promiscuity as a sign of her strength, modern viewers see it as a symptom of her fatal flaw, a lack of emotional vulnerability.
Maria thinks I have intimacy issues.
Oh, she's crazy.
I tried, I really did, but I'm not a relationship person.
Samantha's emotional intimacy issues are apparent from the show's start and create recurring problems into the few serious relationships that she attempts over the course of 6 seasons.
Let me be here for you.
So, rather than identify with her character, viewers avoid calling themselves a Samantha because they don't want to embrace the fatal flaw, as well as the final destination of permanent singledom that comes along with her label. In numerous movies and TV shows, single women with emotional intimacy issues are eventually cured of this flaw, while their singledom is treated as the symptom of a personality that needs to be corrected or tamed. At the beginning of Trainwreck, Amy Townsend is portrayed as a self-proclaimed sexual girl who avoids emotional intimacy at all costs.
Are you comfortable?
No, I'm not. Okay. I don't really like to spoon.
And she's viewed as a joke among family and friends until she meets and starts dating Aaron. After falling in love with him and quickly ruining their relationship, Amy realizes that she's only jealous of married women because she doesn't believe that she deserves any love or commitment.
I'm broken.
In literally referring to herself as broken, Amy acknowledges that the entire point of the film is to fix her immature and promiscuous single girl ways so that she can embrace love and finally be happy.
I'm gonna try with you.
I want to try too.
Annie Walker in the movie Bridesmaids and Cece Parikh in the TV show New Girl have similar character arcs.
Annie was really sweet and nice and cute, so naturally I ran out as fast as I could. What's wrong with me?
Both reject any form of emotional intimacy by staying in unfulfilling relationships before realizing that they need to fix themselves by letting go of their bachelorette lifestyles and committing to serious relationships.
You know, for the first time in my life, I actually feel like I want something that lasts.
The way pop culture typically portrays it, by the age of 35, women need to either grow up and settle down as a wife and mother or banish themselves to life as lonely and sexless spinsters.
Society views single people our age as sad and pathetic.
Samantha defies societal expectations by choosing neither of these options, proving that a single, sexually active bachelorette over any age can be happy without having to outgrow her independence or promiscuity. Yet because viewers are trained to see women's sexual freedom as a fleeting and immature phase of life, they hesitate to identify with her. And when, in the movies, Samantha ultimately chooses singledom over a highly enviable, loving relationship, viewers tend to look down on and disdain this choice.
You're gonna find a wonderful woman who loves being in a relationship.
What will you find?
I don't know, but that's a risk I'm willing to take.
Meanwhile, older men's sexual freedom is far more normalized in mainstream pop culture. The aging bachelor is a common and, sadly, far more accepted trope on screen.
Why do we get stuck with old maid and spinster and men get to be bachelors and playboys?
In fact, Barney Stinson on How I Met Your Mother has a similar arc to Samantha's. The series ends with him getting married, quickly divorcing, and then finding himself as a lifelong bachelor again.
That woman is half your age. Haven't you changed even a little?
No, I haven't.
Although fans and critics were upset with the How I Met Your Mother finale as a whole, they still accepted Barney's ending. He's welcome to have as much sex as he wants and to have casual, even anonymous sex, because whatever happens between consenting adults is their business. Critic Margaret Lyons at Vulture wrote of Barney's ending. Sam Rulo at Bustle simply wrote, "At least he's happy." So while aging bachelorette Samantha is seen as a sex-crazed vixen, when aging bachelor Barney rejects monogamy, it's excused as an adult's chosen route to happiness.
I'm searching for what I really want in life. And you know what? I have absolutely no idea what that is.
Another reason viewers don't want to model themselves on Samantha is because of how the show judges her choices. Samantha's sexuality is often played on the show as comic relief. And this comes through in Samantha's dynamic with the other main three women, whose constant quips also paint Samantha's sex life as farce.
What is it about California air? It makes me sleep so well.
It's not the air. Your headboard knocked you unconscious.
When they're not jesting about her, they're outright judging Samantha's sexual choices.
Is your vagina in the New York City guidebooks? Because it should be. It's the hottest spot in town. It's always open.
Despite the show literally including the word sex in the title, the other three women are far less sexually adventurous than Samantha.
Sex is something special that's supposed to happen between two people who love each other.
Or two people who love sex.
Oh my God, you're such a...
A what? What am I, Charlotte?
According to the New York Daily News' tally, Carrie sleeps with 18 people throughout the show, Charlotte with 18, and Miranda with 17. Meanwhile, Samantha has 41 sexual partners.
How many sexual partners have you had?
I'm counting. This year,
And the other women make it clear that they don't view Samantha's promiscuity as something that would be acceptable for themselves. In the 5th season episode, CoverGirl, after Carrie walks in on Samantha giving a blowjob to the delivery man, Carrie panics and later cracks uncomfortable jokes at Samantha's expense.
I will not be judged by you or society. I will wear whatever and whomever I want as long as I can breathe and kneel.
Yet even when they make up later in the episode, Carrie's apology still contains a judgmental note.
It's not my personal style, but I really admire your ability to put your sex life out there.
Although Carrie is genuine in this moment, she reinforces that Samantha's sexual openness makes her a woman to both be admired and laughed at, but not to be emulated. Even if many viewers don't want to be the Samantha of their friend group, there actually is a lot worth emulating in her character.
Don't you want to judge me just a little bit?
Not my style.
She spends the entire franchise overcoming her emotional intimacy issues.
You have meant more to me than any man I've ever known.
While also coming to a secure understanding that her bachelorette lifestyle isn't a crutch or inability to change, but a way of staying true to herself and realizing her full potential.
Hello, my name is Fabulous.
Samantha's first serious boyfriend on the show is James, who opens her up to the idea that she could commit to a loving partner.
I think he's someone I could actually marry.
When their sex life doesn't satisfy her, she chooses singledom over her relationship. But still, in the season 2 finale, she tearfully declares,
I miss James.
This is the first time that Samantha acknowledges that she does, on some level, want to be able to connect with someone. Samantha's second serious relationship, with Maria, a sexy Brazilian artist, quickly ends after Samantha grows tired of monogamy.
All we ever do is lie around, take baths together, and talk about feelings.
I think they call that a relationship.
I don't know how you people do it. All that emotional chow-chow, it's exhausting.
But this short-lived relationship represents another step in Samantha's growth as it helps her better understand the emotional aspect of sex.
Maria has taught me how to connect during sex. It's not just some animal act. It's about two people making love.
Later in the same season, Samantha becomes truly vulnerable for the first time in her relationship with hotel magnate Richard Wright. Her willingness to be monogamous with Richard and tell him that she loves him
I love you, Richard.
are key milestones in her healing her emotional intimacy issues.
I think I have monogamy. I must have caught it from you people.
But when Richard's infidelity nearly destroys Samantha, she realizes that her inability to trust Richard has taken too much of a toll on her health.
I love you too, Richard. But I love me more.
Here, Samantha begins to understand that she is capable of emotional intimacy, but her bachelorette lifestyle is actually truer to who she is. Samantha's final and most serious relationship on the show is with young actor Smith, who both offers Samantha a sexually fulfilling connection and pushes her to embrace her feelings.
Do you know that I didn't a single or married guy the whole time Smith was out of town? And I'll tell you something else. I missed him.
But in the first Sex and the City movie, as Samantha spies on her promiscuous neighbor, she can no longer ignore her desire for her old single ways and blows up at Smith when he keeps her waiting.
I am not the type of woman who sits home all day waiting for a man!
When she tells her friends that she feels she should stay in the relationship because Smith supported her through chemo, Carrie points out,
You just compared your relationship to chemo.
And it's accurate that, for Samantha, monogamy ends up being something of a cancer to her well-being. In the end, Samantha realizes that she has overcome her intimacy issues, but her emotionally evolved self does not need or thrive in a monogamous relationship.
I've been in a relationship with myself for 49 years, and that's the one I need to work on.
So Samantha's growth ultimately leads her to embrace herself as an emotionally mature and completely content bachelorette.
I am 52 and I will rock this dress.
Even if we don't aspire to have her particular life, we could all stand to be a little bit more like Samantha Jones.
The right guy is an illusion. You understand that? You can start living your life.
She sets an example to prioritize our emotional well-being in relationships and reject the assumption that we need to copy others' life choices or conform to what society considers normal behavior.
Why does everybody have to get married and have kids? It's so cliche.
Because to be a Samantha is not to be sex-crazed, promiscuous, or even necessarily single. It's to be self-assured, emotionally evolving, and true to yourself.
I'm also demanding, stubborn, self-sufficient, and always right. In bed, at the office, and everywhere else.
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all our new videos. This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community that offers affordable classes designed to fit your schedule and skill level. With Skillshare, you can find the perfect outlet for your creative energy. Their classes on drawing, writing, and lots more will help you manage stress, practice mindfulness, and feel connected. One Skillshare original you can check out right now is Mari Andrews' class on how drawing can help you process your emotions and promote self-discovery. You'll learn easy, fun exercises to gain focus and unleash your creativity. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, but that's only if you're one of the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below. So join today and jumpstart your creative journey.